Lesson number 29, Surah Al-Baqarah, ayah number 215 to 220. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Nahmaduhu wa nusalli ala rasulihil kareem. Amma ba'd. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. ربي زدني علما اللهم فقهنا في الدين اللهم أرنا الحق حقا وارزقنا اتباعه وأرنا الباطل باطلا وارزقنا اجتنابه اللهم لك الحمد كما هديتنا للإسلام وعلمتنا الحكمة والقرآن وصلوات الله وسلامه على خاتم النبيين وإمام المرسلين وعلى آله الطيبين اللهم اجعلنا ممن اتبع القرآن فساقه وقاده إلى الجنة ولا تجعلنا ممن اتبع القرآن فزخ في خفاه إلى النار برحمتك يا عزيز يا غفار. How are you all? I hope you are doing well. I pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala keeps you all in His protection and keeps you safe from every illness, all evils. May He grant blessing in your health, time, life, knowledge and actions. May He grant you perseverance and accept all your efforts to learn, understand and act upon the religion and make it easy for you to convey it to others. Ameen Ya Rabbal Alameen. Today's lesson number 29 is from verse 215 to 220. We will start with word-to-word translation and after that the words will be explained according to the grammar and then inshallah there will be tafseer. Let's listen to the word-to-word translation from ayah number 215 to ayah number 220. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يسألونك they ask or question you ماذا what ينفقون they should spend قل you say ما whatever أنفقتم you spend من from خير any good or wealth فللوالدين so for the parents و and الأقربين the close relatives و and اليتامى the orphans و and المساكين the ones needy dependent poor و and ابن السبيل son of the way or the traveler wa and ma whatever taf'alu they do min from khairin any good fa inna then indeed Allah bihi with it alim always all knowing kutiba it was written alaykum upon you yani made obligatory al qital the fighting or the holy war wa while huwa it kurhun is disliked hated detested lakum by or for you all wa and asa it is probable perhaps and that takrahu you all dislike hate shay'an a thing wa while huwa it khairun is good lakum for you all wa and asa it is probable perhaps and that tuhibbu you all like or love shay'an a thing wa while huwa it sharrun is bad or evil lakum for you all wa and Allahu Allah ya'lamu he knows wa and antum you all la not ta'lamun you all know yas'alunaka they ask or question you and about ash-shahr the month al-haram the inviolable sacred forbidden qitalin fighting holy war fihi in it qul you say qitalun fighting the holy war fihi in it kabir is a great or big sin wa and saddun to stop or hinder and from sabil path or way Allah of Allah wa and kufrun denial disbelief bihi in or with him wa and al masjid al haram the masjid or the mosque the haram inviolable sacred wa and ikhraju expelling or driving out ahlihi its dwellers residents minhu from it akbaru is bigger or greater sin inda with or near Allah of Allah wa and al fitnatu the fitna trial persecution akbaru is bigger or greater min than al qatl the killing wa and La not yazaluna they set or cease always yuqatilunakum they will fight you all hatta until that yaruddukum they turn back you all and from dinikum your deen divine way of life in if istata'u they were capable, able, wa and man whoever yartadid he turns back or retreats, minkum from among you all, and from dinihi his divine way of life, deen. Fayamut then he dies, wa while huwa he kafirun is a denier, disbeliever. فَأُولَٰئِكَ so those habitat it or she wasted, perished, أَعْمَالُهُمْ their deeds, fi in dunya, ad-dunya the world, wa and al-akhirah the akhirah hereafter, wa and ulaika those ashabu are companions, an-nar of the hellfire, whom they fiha in it or it khalidun are ones who dwell or abide eternally. Inna indeed alladhina those who amanu they believed, wa and alladhina those who hajaru they emigrated, wa and jahadu they did jihad or struggled at most, fi in sabil path or way, cause of Allah, sabilillah in the path of Allah. Ulaika those yarjuna they hope, rahma for mercy, Allah of Allah, wa and Allah Ghafurun is most forgiving, Rahimun and always all merciful. Yes, alunaka they ask or question you, and about al-khamri the intoxicant wine, wa and al-maisir the gambling, all sorts. Qul you say, fihima is in them both, ithmun a sin, kabirun a great big, wa and manafi'u some temporary benefits, linnas for the people or mankind, wa and ithmuhuma the sin of them both, akbaru is bigger or greater, min than naf'ihima profit or benefit of them. Wa and yas'alunaka they ask or question you, madha what yunfiqun they should spend in the way of Allah. Qul say, al-afwa the extra excess which can be spared. Kadhalika thus likewise, yubayyinu he explains explicitly or clearly, Allahu Allah lakum for you all, al-ayat the ayat or science verses, la'allakum so that perhaps you all tatafakkarun you all think, ponder, reflect. Fi in ad-dunya the world, wa and al-akhirah the akhirah hereafter. Wa and yas'alunaka they ask or question you, an about al-yatama the orphans. Qul you say, islahun reformation, lahum for them, khair is better, wa and in if tukhalituhum you all mix or mingle with them, fa ikhwanukum so they are your brothers, wa and Allahu Allah ya'lamu he knows, al-mufsida one who does mischief, corruption, spreads disorder, min from al-muslih the one who reforms, wa and law if sha'a he willed, Allah la'anatakum he would put in difficulty, trouble you all. Inna indeed Allah azizun is always almighty, hakimun and always all wise. Grammatical analysis. Now let's understand these words according to grammar. Yas'alunaka they ask or question you. Root word is seen, hamza, lam. Here yas'aluna is fail mudari, jama muzakkar ghaib, third person masculine plural present tense. From sa'ala yas'alu the verbal noun masdar is su'alan, meaning to ask, to question. Here in this present tense conjugation, the gardan of mudari of yas'alu, the wahid mutakallam first person singular is as'alu, which means I am asking or I will ask. Ka in yas'alunaka is damir of wahid mudhakkar hadir, second person masculine singular pronoun. Its fail mudari nafi prohibitive present tense will be la yas'alunaka. Our Arabic grammar lesson is number 32 this time. The practice of measures of Thulathi Mujarrad through examples. Link for the video will be provided in the description box. Do watch it. Madha what? It is istifhamiya, interrogative particle used for questioning. Yunfiqun they should spend. Root word is noon, fa, qaf. It is fail mudare, jama muzakkar ghaib, third person masculine plural present tense. From anfaqa yunfiqu, the verbal noun masdar is infaq, which means to spend. Qul, you say. It is fail amr, wahid muzakkar hadar, second person masculine singular imperative verb. From qala yaqulu, the verbal noun masdar is qawlan, that is to say. Ma anfaqtum, whatever you spend. Ma is ism mawsool shartiya, conditional relative pronoun. Anfaqtum is fail madi, jama muzakkar hadar, second person masculine plural past tense. Min khairin, from any good or wealth. Min is harf jar preposition. Khairin is majroor genitive noun. Falil walidaini, so is for the two parents. It is tasniya, dual. Root word is waw, lam, dal. The fa in the start is harf ataf, the conjunction, followed by li, which is harf jar preposition. Al walidain is majroor genitive noun. Wal aqrabin, and the close relatives. The root word is khaf, ra, ba. Wal yatama, the orphans. It is jama plural of yatim. Root word is ya, ta, mim. Yutam means a minor child whose father has died. Wal masakin, and the ones needy, dependent, poor. Root word is siin, kaf, noon. Its singular is miskin. Sakana means to stay, that is, the poverty remains. Wabni sabil, and the son of the way traveler. Wa is harf ataf, conjunction. Ibni means son, it is mudaf, what is possessed. As-sabil means the way, it is mudaf ilayh, possessor. Hence the son of the way, that is the one who is not at home, meaning traveler. Wama taf'alu, and whatever they do. Taf'alu was actually taf'aluna because of ma, the noon was dropped. Because ma is harf shart, conditional particle. Root word is fa, ain, lam. It is fail mudare, majzoom, jama muzakkar hadar. Second person masculine plural present tense in jussive case. From fa'ala yaf'alu, the verbal noun masdar is fa'lun, which means to do. Min khairin, from any good. We have covered this previously. Fa inna Allah, then indeed Allah. Fa is harf atf, conjunction. Inna is harf mushabbah bil fa'il, particle resembling verb. It means indeed. Bihi, with it. Bi is harf jar preposition, which means with or to. He is damir of wahid muzakkar ghaib, third person masculine singular pronoun. Alimun is always all-knowing. The root word is ain, lam, mim. It is an attribute of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. From the verbal noun or masdar ilmun, it is a mubaligha, the phrase of exaggeration or magnificence, meaning always all-knowing. Kutiba alaykum, it was written upon you all or made obligatory. Kutiba, the root word is kaf, ta, ba. It is fail madi, majhul, wahid, muzakkar, ghaib. Third person masculine singular, passive, past tense. From kataba yaktubu, the verbal noun masdar is kitabatun, which means to write or to make obligatory. Alaykum, upon you. Ala is harf jar preposition, and kum is damir of jama muzakkar hadar, second person masculine plural pronoun. Al-Qital, the fighting, holy war. Root word is khaf, ta, lam. It is a masdar verbal noun. Wa huwa, while it. Wa is haliya, that is wa of current condition, which means while. And huwa is munfasila, damir of wahid muzakkar ghaib, third person masculine singular detached pronoun, which comes separately. Kurhun is disliked, hated, detested. The root word is kaf, ra, ha. It is masdar verbal noun. Lakum, by or for you all. Wa asa, and it is probable, perhaps. Root word is ain, seen, ya. It is fail jamid, non-conjugatable verb. Asa means hope, fear or expectations. It only has past tense conjugation. An takrahu, that you all dislike or hate. An is masdariya and nasiba, accusative subordinating conjunction. Takrahu, you dislike, was actually takrahuna. Because of an, the noon Arabi was dropped. It is fail mudare, mansoob, jama muzakkar hadar, second person masculine plural subjunctive present tense. From kariha yakrahu, the verbal noun masdar is kurhan, that is to dislike. Shay'an, a thing. The root word is sheen, ya, hamza. Wa huwa, while it. Khairun is good. Root word is kha, ya, ra. It is ism nakira, common noun. Lakum, for you all. La is harf jar preposition. Kum is damir pronoun. Wa'asa, and it is probable or perhaps. An tuhibbu, that you all like or love. The root word is ha, ba. Tuhibbu was actually tuhibbuna. The noon Arabi was dropped because of un. It is fail mudare, mansoob, jama muzakkar, hadar. The second person masculine plural subjunctive present tense. From ahabba yuhibbu, the verbal noun masdar is ihbabun, which means to like. Shay'an, a thing, nakira. Wahuwa, while it, sharrun is bad or evil. The root word is sheen, raw. The word sharir or wicked is also derived from it. Lakum, for you all. Wallah, and Allah. Ya'lamu, he knows. The root word is ayn, lam, mim. It is fail mudare, wahid, muzakkar, ghaib, third person masculine singular present tense. From alima ya'lamu, the verbal noun or masdar is ilman, which means to know. Wa antum, and you all. Antum is munfasila, dhamir of jama muzakkar hadar, second person masculine plural detached pronoun. It comes separately. La ya'lamun, not you all know. Root word is ayn, lam, mim. It is fail mudare, jama muzakkar hadar, second person masculine plural present tense. Yes, alunaka, they ask question you, and about. It is harf-jar preposition. Ash-shahr al-haram, the months, the inviolable, sacred, forbidden. Ash-shahri is majroor and mausoof, genitive relative pronoun. Root word for al-haram is ha, ra, mim. It is ism sift or adjective. Qital, fighting, holy war. The root word is khaf, ta, lam. It is masdar or genitive noun. Fihi, in it. Fi is harf-jar, he is majroor and dhamir of wahid mudhakkar ghaib, third person masculine singular genitive pronoun. Qul, you say. It is fail amr, wahid mudhakkar hadar, second person masculine singular imperative verb. From qala yaqulu, the verbal noun masdar is qawlan, which means to say. Qitalun, fighting, holy war. It is a masdar or verbal noun. Fihi, in it. Kabirun is a great or big sin. Root word is kaf, ba, ra. From verbal noun masdar kibrun, it is sift, mushabbah, mufrad, marfu, nakira, resembling singular nominative particle. Wasaddun, and to stop or hinder. Root word is swad, dal. It is a masdar verbal noun. And from sabilillah, path or way, cause of Allah. Root word for sabil is seen, ba, lam. Wa kufrum bih, and denial, disbelief in with him. Root word is kaf, fa, ra. Kufrun is masdar verbal noun. Wal masjid al haram, and the masjid or mosque, the inviolable, sacred, forbidden. It is murakkabe tawsifi, adjective phrase. Al masjid is mausoof, which is described. Root word is seen, jim, dal. Al haram is sift, adjective. Root word is ha, ra, mim. Wa ikhraju, and expelling or driving out. Root word is kha, ra, jim. It is a masdar verbal noun. Ahlihi, its dwellers or residents. The root word is hamza, ha, lam. Ahli is mudaf, what is possessed. He is damir pronoun. Minhu, from it. Akbaru is bigger or greater sin. Root word is kaf, ba, ra. It is sigha of ism tafdhil from masdar, that is a comparative and superlative phrase from the verbal noun. And Allah, with or near Allah. Inda is mudaf, what is possessed. Allah is mudaf ilayh, possessor. Wal fitnatu, and the fitna, trial, persecution. Root word is fa, ta, noon. Its actual meaning is to burn with fire, make others commit mistake, rebelling against religion and faith. Akbaru is bigger or greater. Min al-qatl, than the killing. Min is harf-jar preposition. Al-qatli is majroor, genitive noun. Wala, and not. Yazaluna, they set or cease always. Wala yazaluna, that they will never cease or end. Root word is za, ya, lam. It is fail mudare, manfi, jama muzakkar ghaib, third person masculine plural prohibitive present tense. From zala yazalu, the verbal noun masdar is zawlan, that is to disappear or fade away. Yuqatilunakum, they will fight you all. Root word is khaf, ta, lam. Yuqatiluna is fail mudare, jama muzakkar ghaib, third person masculine plural present tense. From qatala yuqatilu, the verbal noun masdar is muqatalatan, which means to fight. Kum, in the end, is the damir or pronoun. Hatta, until that. It is harf ghayth, preposition of time. Yaruddukum, they turn back you all. Root word is ra, dal, dal. An, from. Deenikum, your deen, divine way of life. Root word is dal, ya, noon. Deeni is majroor, genitive noun, and mudaf, what is possessed. In, if, it is shartiya jazima, assertive conditional particle. Istata'u, they were capable or able. Root word is ta, waw, ain. It is fi'l maadi, jama muzakkar ghaib, third person masculine plural past tense. From istata'a, yastati'u, the verbal noun is istata'un, which means to be capable. Waman, and whoever. Man is isma mawsul shartiya, conditional relative pronoun. Yartadid, he turns back or retreats. The root word is ra, dal, dal. It is fi'l mudari, wahid muzakkar ghaib, third person masculine singular present tense. From irtada, irtadda, yartaddu, the masdar or verbal noun is irtidadun, which means to turn back or to leave Islam and turn towards kufr. Minkum, from among you all. An dinihi, from his deen or divine way of life. Fayamut, then he dies. The root word is mim, waw, ta. Fa is harf ataf, conjunction. Yamut is fail mudare, wahid mudakkar ghaib, third person masculine singular present tense. It starts with the ya from yatan. From mata yamutu, the masdar verbal noun is mautan, which means to die. Wahuwa, while he. Waw is haliya, waw of current condition. Kafir is a denier, disbeliever. The root word is kafara. From verbal noun masdar kufran, it is ism fa'il, wahid muzakkar, masculine singular doer. Its plural is kafirun. Ulaika, so those. Fa is harf atf, conjunction. Ulaika is ism ishara ba'id, far, demonstrative noun. Habitat is he or she, wasted, perished. It begins with fa, then fahabitat, where fa means so. But here we do not have fa. Root word is ha, but ta. It is fi'l maadi, wahid muannas ghaib, third person feminine singular past tense. From habita yahbatu, the verbal noun masdar is habtan, that is to be wasted. A'maluhum, their deeds. Root word is ain, mim, lam. Amalu is mudaf, what is possessed, and hum is the end. In the end is dhamir or pronoun. Fit dunya, in the world. Wal akhirah, and the akhirah, hereafter. It is ism ma'rifa, proper noun since it starts with al, both ad-dunya and al-akhirah. Wa ulaika, and those. Ashabun nar, are companions of the hellfire. It is murakkabi idafi, possessive phrase. Ashabu is mudaf, what is possessed. Its singular is sahibun, sahibun. Root word is sod, ha, ba. An-nari is mudaf ilayh, possessor. The root word is noon, waw, ra. Hum fiha, in it or her. Hum is dhamir, pronoun. Fi is harf jar, preposition, and ha is dhamir of wahid muannas ghaib, third person feminine singular pronoun. Khalidun are ones who dwell or abide eternally. The root word is kha, lam, dal. From verbal noun masdar khuludun, it is ism fa'il, jama muzakkar, masculine plural doer. Its singular is khalidun. Khalid is also a name. Inna alladhina, indeed those who. Inna is harf mushabba bil fa'il, particle resembling verb. Allazina is isma mawsul, jama muzakkar, masculine plural relative pronoun. Amanu, they believed. It is fa'il maadi, jama muzakkar ghaib, third person masculine plural past tense. From amana yu'minu, the verbal noun masdar is imanan, which means to believe. Walladina, and those who. Alladina is isma mawsul, jama muzakkar, masculine plural relative pronoun. Hajaru, they immigrated. Root word is ha, jim, ra. Hajar means to give up or to abandon. To give or do hijrah, emigrate. Hijrah is of two types. General, for the sake of Allah, leaving all that is forbidden by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Doing tazkiyah nafs, cleansing of the heart, is also hijrah. Alhamdulillah, you are also a muhajir this way. Special, meaning leaving one's house and homeland. From hajara yuhajiru, the verbal noun masdar is muhajaratan, which means to emigrate. Wajahadu, and they did jihad, struggled utmost. Root word is Jim Ha Dal. It is Fail Madi, Jama Muzakkar Ghaib, third person masculine plural, past tense. From Jahada Yujahidu, the verbal noun masdar is Mujahadatan, which means to struggle. Effort, hard work is also called jihad. Juhd, meaning full strength and full effort is applied to achieve something. Fi sabilillah, in the path or way or cause of Allah. We have covered this previously. Ulaika, those, yarjuna, they hope. Ra, jim, waw is the root word. It is fail mudare, jama muzakkar ghaib, third person masculine plural present tense. From raja, yarju, the verbal noun masdar is rajaun, which means to hope. Rahmat Allah, for mercy of Allah. It is murakkab idafi, possessive phrase. Rahmata is mudaf, what is possessed, and Allahi is mudaf ilayh, possessor. Wallah, and Allah, Ghafurun, is most forgiving. It is an attribute of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Rahim, and always all merciful. This is also an attribute of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yes, alunaka, they ask or question you, anil khamr, about the intoxicant wine. The root word for khamar is kha, mim, ra. It is majroor, genitive noun. Khamar has two masdar or verbal nouns. Mukhammara ends on round ha. It means to cover. Khimar is also derived from this, which is the word used for women's head covering. Khamar is used for wine because it covers the intellect, clouds the thinking. Here khamar is used for such an intoxicant that gives pleasure. The second masdar or verbal noun is ikhtimar, which means to swell, to reach a level of excitement. Wine is also leavened and swells during its brewing process, and when someone consumes it, he gets excited as well. Wal maisir, and the gambling, all sorts. Qul, you say, fihima is in them both. Fi is harf jar preposition. Hima is majroor genitive, tasniya dual, and damir of muzakkar ghaib, third person masculine pronoun. Ithmun, a sin. The root word is hamza sa mim. It is mausuf, which is described. Kabirun, a great or big. Root word is kaf, ba, ra. It is ism sift, adjective. It is sift mushabbah, resembling particle, from the verbal noun masdar kibrun, meaning great or very big. Wa manafi'u, and some temporary benefits. Root word is noon, fa, ain. Same word is used in Urdu. Lin nas, for the people, mankind. Li means for, and it is harf jar preposition. Wa ithmuhuma, and sin of them too. Ismu is mudaf, what is possessed. Huma is mudaf ilayh, possessor, and damir of tasniya muzakkar ghaib, third person masculine dual pronoun. Akbar is bigger or greater. From verbal noun masdar kibrun, it is the sigha of tafdeel, that is a comparative and superlative phrase. Min naf'ihima, than, profit, benefit of them too. It is made of nafi and hima. Hima is damir of tasniya muzakkar ghaib, third person masculine dual pronoun. وَيَسْأَلُونَكَ, and they ask or question you, ماذا, what, يُنْفِقُونَ, they should spend in the way of Allah. We have covered all this previously. قُلِ الْأَفْوَ, you say the extra, excess which can be spared. The root word for afwa is ain, fa, waw. Al-afw is masdar, verbal noun. كَذَلِكَ, thus or likewise. Ka is harf tashbih, particle of similitude. Zalika is ism ishara, wahid muzakkar ba'id, masculine singular, fa, demonstrative noun. Yubayyinu, he explains or explicitly, clearly. Root word is bayanun. It is fail mudare, wahid muzakkar ghaib, third person masculine singular present tense. From bayyana yubayyinu, the verbal noun masdar is tabyinun, meaning to explain clearly. Allah is Allah, lakum, for you all. Al-ayat, the ayat, signs or verses, its singular is ayatun. Ayat are of two types, kauni, that is signs in the universe, kainat, and shar'i, that is the verses of the Quran. La'allakum, so that perhaps you all. La'alla is harf mushabbah bil fa'il, particle resembling verb, and kum is damir, pronoun. Tatafakkarun, you all think, ponder or reflect. Root word is fa, kaf, ra. It is fail mudare, jama muzakkar hadar, second person masculine plural present tense. From tafakkara yatafakkaru, the verbal noun masdar is tafakkuran, which means to ponder. fit dunya in the world, wal akhirah and the akhirah hereafter. We have explained this previously. وَيَسْأَلُونَكَ, and they ask you or question you, anil yatama, about the orphans. Its singular is yatimun. Qul, you say, islahun, reformation. The root word is sod lam ha. It is masdar or verbal noun. Lahum, for them, khayrun is better. Wa in, and if, it is shartiya jazima, conditional assertive particle. Tukhalituhum, you all mix, mingle with them. Root word is kha lam ta. Tukhalitu was actually tukhalituna because of in. The noon Arabi or the noon with the vowel mark was dropped from the mudari present tense. It is fail mudari jamma muzakkar hadar. Second person masculine plural present tense. From khalata yukhalitu, the verbal noun masdar is mukhalatatan, which means to mingle or to mix. Hum in the end is dhamir pronoun. فَإِخْوَانُكُمْ, so they are your brothers. Root word is hamza, kha, waw. Fa in the beginning is harf atf, conjunction. Ikhwanu is mudaf, what is possessed, and meaning brothers, it is jama plural. Its singular is akhun, and kum in the end is dhamir or pronoun. Wallahu, and Allah, ya'lamul mufsida, he knows ones who does mischief, corruption, spreads disorders. Ya'lamu is fail mudare present tense. Wahid muzakkar ghaib, third person masculine singular. From alima ya'lamu, the masdar verbal noun is ilman, to know. Al mufsida, root word is fa sin dal. From verbal noun masdar ifsadun, it is ism fa'il. Wahid muzakkar masculine singular doer. Min al muslih, from the one who reforms. The root word is sod lam ha. Sod lam ha. Al muslih is majroor genitive noun. From masdar verbal noun islahun, it is ism fa'il. Wahid mudhakkar masculine singular doer, meaning the one who reforms. Walau, and if. Law is shartiya conditional particle. Sha Allah, he willed Allah. Sha'a is fail madi, wahid muzakkar ghaib, third person masculine singular past tense. From sha'a yasha'u, the verbal noun masdar is ma'ashi'atan, meaning to will. Because of law, the meaning is he willed. La'anatakum, surely he would put in difficulty, trouble you all. The root word is ayn noon ta, and lam la is lam ta'kid, emphatic lam. Anata is fail madi, wahid muzakkar ghaib, third person masculine singular past tense. From anata yu'nitu, the verbal noun masdar is anatan, meaning to put in trouble. Because of law, the meaning is he puts in difficulty or trouble. Kum in the end is dhamir or pronoun. Inna Allaha, indeed Allah, Azizun is always almighty. Root word is ayn za. It is an attribute of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Hakimun, and always all wise. The root word is ha, kaf, mim. This is also an attribute of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. From masdar verbal noun hikmatun, it is the sigha of sift mushabbah, resembling particle. That is, he is the one with great wisdom. Let's listen to the recitation of today's verses.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم يسألونك ماذا ينفقون قل ما أنفقتم من خير فللوالدين والأقربين واليتامى والمساكين وابن السبيل وما تفعلوا من خير فإن الله به عليم كتب عليكم القتال وهو كره لكم وعسى أن تكرهوا شيئا وهو خير لكم وعسى أن تحبوا شيئا وهو شر لكم والله يعلم وأنتم لا تعلمون يسألونك عن الشهر الحرام قتال فيه قل قتال فيه كبير وصد عن سبيل الله وكفر به والمسجد الحرام وإخراج أهله منه أكبر عند الله والفتنة أكبر من القتل ولا يزالون يقاتلونكم حتى يردوكم عن دينكم إن استطاعوا ومن يرتد منكم عن دينه فيمت وهو كافر فأولئك حبطت أعمالهم في الدنيا والآخرة وأولئك أصحاب النار هم فيها خالدون إن الذين آمنوا والذين هاجروا وجاهدوا في سبيل الله أولئك يرجون رحمة الله والله غفور رحيم يسألونك عن الخمر والميسر قل فيهما إثم كبير ومنافع للناس وإثمهما أكبر من نفعهما ويسألونك ماذا ينفقون قل العفو كذلك يبين الله لكم الآيات لعلكم تتفكرون في الدنيا والآخرة ويسألونك عن اليتامى قل إصلاح لهم خير وإن تخالطوهم فإخوانكم والله يعلم المفسد من المصلح ولو شاء الله لأعنتكم إن الله عزيز حكيم.
Tafseer. Now let us begin the tafsir. First, let's take a look at the recap of the previous verses. We saw two different characters. Number one was a worldly person, and all his efforts were for this world. He used to exert himself for the world. His abode will be very bad, that is, the hellfire. Number two, the one whose entire efforts were directed towards the hereafter. He was God-fearing and steadfast. He was put to the test. He also faced hardships and pain, but he was gratified by Allah's will, and there are glad tidings for this kind of mu'min. Rabbana ja'alna minhum. In today's ayahs, the seekers of Jannah are mentioned, who provide the sacrifice of their life and wealth for the sake of Allah. They do hijrah, emigration, and still worry that something is missing. They keep away from bad deeds, liquor, gambling. They make Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala happy and then feel happy. Their heart is satisfied when they obey and follow the commandments of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The more they exert themselves, the more they are satisfied. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's blessings are for these types of moments. Now from ayah 115, we will start today's tafsir. Meaning of and tafsir of Surah Al-Baqarah, verse 215 to 220. Tafsir of verse number 215. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يسألونك ماذا ينفقون قل ما أنفقتم من خير فللوالدين والأقربين واليتامى والمساكين وابن السبيل وما تفعلوا من خير فإن الله به عليم. Translation: They ask you what they should spend in charity. Say, whatever you spend with a good heart, give it to parents, relatives, orphans, the helpless and travelers in need. Whatever good you do, Allah is aware of it. Tafsir: in this ayah, infaq and spending in the way of Allah is being told. People ask you, what should they spend? The Sahabas asked this very beautiful question to Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Yes, who can ask this type of a question? The one who has the love and fear of Allah in his heart and has the pain for the creatures of Allah and has the desire to work in accordance with Allah's rada and worries about the hereafter and is ready to run in goodness. This quality of the believers have been mentioned in Surah Baqarah, ayah number 3. The qualities of the believer has been mentioned there. The characteristics of the believer are mentioned in ayah 3. First, he believes in the unseen. Second, he establishes salah. And number 3, and whatever sustenance Allah has given him, he spends it. Everything comes in sustenance, the wealth which Allah has given, the time, the abilities, and whatever blessing He has been given comes in that. Here, the first quality of a believer who believes in the unseen is he establishes salah. The second characteristic, he spends the blessings of Allah on others. And يَسْأَلُونَكَ مَاذَا يُنْفِقُونَ مَاذَا يُنْفِقُونَ means where to spend and how to spend. Sahaba kiram radiallahu anhum were asking Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam what and where he should give the optional charity in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Here the question is not about the zakah and sadaqah fitr. Who can ask this type of question? Only that person can ask who gives the zakat and sadaqah fitr. But still, in the love of Allah, he wants to give more. He is concerned about others and do not have the love for money that he starts collecting it. Now let us, what guidance Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is giving to them, that where should they spend. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, قُلْ مَا أَنفَقْتُم مِّنْ خَيْرٍ فَلِلْوَالِدَيْنِ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam that tell the Sahaba that whatever you want to spend for the sake of Allah, the first deservings are your parents. Spending on parents is a very big good deed. This should be understood that you cannot give the zakah and compulsory charity because after the rights of Allah are the rights of their parents, and they are the most deserving. That is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has mentioned the parents first. So the first to deserve thanks are the parents, then the close relatives. That means after the parents, the optional charity and monetary help is for close relatives, then orphans, then the optional charity, the nafli sadaqah. That means the third entitles of monetary help are orphans, then are masakin and the needy. They are entitled for monetary help. Then the last ones, wabni sabil, and the wayfarer, whether they are wealthy or poor. But if they are traveling and are outside the country or city and their traveling allowance has been stolen or has been finished, or they are compelled due to any other reason, then they should be helped. Then it has been said, وَمَا تَفْعَلُوا مِنْ خَيْرٍ فَإِنَّ اللَّهَ بِهِ عَلِيمٌ. وَمَا تَفْعَلُوا مِنْ خَيْرٍ فَإِنَّ اللَّهَ بِهِ عَلِيمٌ. And whatever goodness you do, indeed Allah is all knowing of it. Now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is replying, what should be spent? It has been said that there is no limit set for doing charity because it is being given according to the need and status, and no amount is fixed that you have to give. It can be spent according to the status. Reward will be on intention, sincerity, and the reward is according to the sacrifice. It is being said, whatever good deed is done, whether it's big or small, Allah has the knowledge of it, and He gives best the reward, and He does not do even little bit of oppression. In Sahih Bukhari 1344, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, whoever did charity from his hard-earned money, even to the extent of one piece of date, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not accept anything apart from pure and takes it from his right hand. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala then enlarges its reward for that person who has given it. As any one of you brings up his baby horse so much that it becomes as big as a mountain, that means increases a lot. In Bukhari 1374 and Muslim 1010, Hazrat Abu Hurairah radiallahu anh says that Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, every day in the morning 2 angels appear. One among them says, O Allah, give repayment to the one who spends in charity. And the other says, O Allah, give destruction to the one who withholds his wealth. The person doing the deal of paradise, Jannah, to gain the pleasures of Allah will do jihad with himself, with his nafs, and he gives for the sake of Allah. Now in the next ayah, the mention is about qital fi sabilillah. Tafseer of verse number 216. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. كتب عليكم القتال وهو كره لكم وعسى أن تكرهوا شيئا وهو خير لكم وعسى أن تحبوا شيئا وهو شر لكم والله يعلم وأنتم لا تعلمون. Translation: Fighting has been made obligatory for you, much to your dislike. It is quite possible that something which you don't like is good for you, and that something which you love is bad for you. Allah knows, and you do not. Tafseer: In this ayah, the war was ordained as a duty, and every human being has love for their life. And when first time any command comes, then it is very hard to follow. This should also be considered that deal of paradise is also a big deal with whom is one moment dealing. Yes, with a great entity dealing with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and what He wants in return. Jannah, paradise, which is Jannatul Firdaus, which Allah has made from His hands. Indeed, it's a big and precious deal. At every step, the believer moment has to give sacrifice of body, mind and wealth. By making sacrifice, he gives the proof that he deserves the Jannah. He loves Allah to the extent that he says, I have heard and I will obey. Sami'ana wa ata'ana, to every command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. No work is difficult for him in Allah's love. Apart from that, whenever anything is done for the first time, it is difficult. This is the first command. Earlier, fighting was not allowed. When the revelation of the Quran started, the Sahabas implemented on all the commands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There were examples, but the command did not come like this. First, brains were prepared and mentally they were made ready. As you have seen in the previous ayah, the disadvantages of unlawful things were mentioned so that the person thinks and worries about it and act according to his intellect. Then the things were made unlawful. This is in the ayah that for every person their own life is very precious, and to go out in the love of Allah also becomes very difficult when the enemy is many times larger and you don't have any assets and are very less in number against the enemy. Then what happens? More fear of losing the life. In spite of all this, one Muslim, a believer, feels his good luck to be sacrificed for the sake of Allah. In this ayah, the command of jihad has been given, and this has also been explained. Why to follow all the commands? Why to follow all the commands? Because there is a blessing for you. No matter you dislike it, find it difficult, but follow it. Kutiba alaykumul qital. Fighting has been enjoined upon you. وَهُوَ كُرْهٌ لَكُمْ, while it is hateful to you. No matter it is hard for you, but it is a duty you have to do. So get ready for jihad. A true believer does not have the fear of losing the life. Going out for war need lots of guts. Dil gurde ka kaam. Especially see the circumstances of that time when they had to go out for war. Severe hot climate, crops were ready for harvest, journey was also very long, provision and mode of traveling was also not there, and had the shortage of arms and weapons. They were less as compared to the enemies who were much more in numbers. After this difficult journey, we are tired, worn out. But what were they supposed to do? Not that you rest for a while, you're tired and hungry. A very big test was in front of them. That means you reached there after a long tiring journey on a camel through hot desert and now have to face a strong enemy. You will have to take the bitter pill. Why? The reply is coming. وَعَسَىٰ أَن تَكْرَهُوا شَيْئًا وَهُوَ خَيْرٌ لَكُمْ, and perhaps you hate a thing and it is good for you. Maybe there is a goodness and blessing for you, because humans only see the outwards, only what is happening in front of him. He does not know the result and outcome of it, and he cannot make out what is hidden for him, good or bad. Here it is being told that going for jihad, like going to dark valley, it is very difficult because there is very less hope of returning alive. As it has been told that enemies were in all forms more strong, but the victory is in the jihad. You get supremacy, war, booty, respect, exalted merits, and religious superiority is very important. As you know that in Makkah, lots of injustice. Some Muslims were asking for the permission of jihad. They were told to do patience. When they reached Medina after doing hijrah, then jihad became a duty. Now the weak-hearted Muslims felt unpleasant. Here the address is with the weak, old-aged, because the brave young wanted to do jihad. Then it has been said, وَأَسَىٰ أَنْتُمْ تُحِبُّوا شَيْءٍ وَعَسَىٰ أَن تُحِبُّوا شَيْئًا وَهُوَ شَرٌّ لَكُمْ وَاللَّهُ يَعْلَمُ وَأَنْتُمْ لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. And this is also possible that you like something and it is bad for you. This is a fact that Allah knows the best and you know not. Here it has been said that this is also possible, that you love a thing a lot. You like it very much. You want to achieve it. But in reality, that thing is not beneficial for you and can cause trouble. That means there is no good for you in doing it. But that thing could be the cause of deep sorrow and grief. But you will not know. Only Allah has this knowledge. Allah knows the unseen. The knowledge of humans is limited, can only see what is in front and gets impressed and runs after the temporary. In Surah Kahf, we will read about one incident that Khidr alayhi salam killed the son of a pious person with the command of Allah. Musa alayhi salam strongly opposed it. He said, "Why, without any reason, you have killed the child?" On which Khidr alayhi salam told him, this was Allah's command and Allah's will, because Allah knew that this child will give a lot of transgression and grief to his parents. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will substitute for them a better than him in purity and nearer to mercy. That is why in the end of this ayah it is, Wallahu ya'lamu wa antum la ta'lamun, and only Allah knows the reality and you know not. The knowledge of humans is limited. Humans don't know what is good and what is bad for them. This is the reason that sometimes they dislike a good thing and likes the bad thing. That is, he loves to make property and wealth. The love for wealth has been kept by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, while dislikes to give wealth in the way of Allah. This is very hard on him. That out of 1 crore he give 2.5 lakhs of zakat for the sake of Allah. This is very hard and unpleasant for him. What happens when he does not give zakah? Crores of money gets sinked in business and makes him burdened with debt. It is very sad that people don't have wisdom and are unable to understand the cause of loss. Yes, if he would have paid the zakah, then that zakah would have purified the remaining amount and would have saved the remaining wealth and it would bring sacrament. But he cannot understand this. What should be done? We should be ready to submit to the will of Allah. Sami'ana wa ata'ana. Follow all the commands. Have faith that there is goodness hidden in all the decisions of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Should have hope from Allah. Should be satisfied with all the decisions of Allah. If any test comes, then should remain patient and keep the hope of goodness. Yes, we do not have care and recognition. We do not honor Allah and do not have the love for Allah. If a person has intense love for Allah, love is not a thing which you bring and pour in the heart. This takes birth in the heart, flourish or grow. Yes, it takes birth in the heart. How it takes birth? Do we have to sow the seed? You must be thinking from where to get the seed. Yes, this seed comes in the heart with understanding of the Quran, and with the implementation upon the Quran, this seed starts to grow. The light of the Quran diminishes the darkness of the heart and removes the diseases of the heart and cures them. The diseases of the heart are hatred, ego, jealousy, being astray, love for wealth. Quran cleanses the heart and throws them out. All bid'ats, shirk. Quran makes us God-fearing and increases our trust in Allah's plans and teaches us to be agreeable to Allah and makes us patient and teaches us to keep good hope from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala provides a person according to his notion. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the best ability. Ameen. Ya Rabbal Alameen. Tafseer of verse number 217. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. يسألونك عن الشهر الحرام قتال فيه قل قتال فيه كبير وصد عن سبيل الله وكفر به والمسجد الحرام وإخراج أهله منه أكبر عند الله والفتنة أكبر من القتل ولا يزالون يقاتلونكم حتى يردوكم عن دينكم إن استطاعوا ومن يرتد منكم عن دينه فيمت وهو كافر فأولئك حبطت أعمالهم في الدنيا والآخرة وأولئك أصحاب النار هم فيها خالدون. Translation. They ask you about war in the sacred month. Tell them, fighting in this month is heinous offense, but to prevent from the path of Allah, to deny him, to prevent access and expel his worshippers from the sacred mosque is a more severe crime. Since mischief is worse than killing in his sight. As for unbelievers, they will not cease fighting until they succeed in turning you back from your religion, if they can. And if any of you turns back from his religion and dies as an unbeliever, his deeds will become void in this life and in the hereafter. He will be the inmate of the hellfire, to live in there forever. Tafseer. In the previous ayah, war was a duty. After the war being a duty, now the question arises whether to do war in these sacred months. In this ayah, the answer to this question has been given. And this has also been made clear that fitna, unbelief and corruption is even bigger crime than murder. In the beginning, it is يَسْأَلُونَكَ عَنِ الشَّهْرِ الْحَرَامِ قِتَالٍ فِيهِ. This the Sahaba Kiram radiallahu anhum questioned Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam regarding doing war in the sacred months. Now let us know the background of this ayah. In 2 Hijri, at the end of the month of Jamad as-Sani, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam sent 8 Sahaba radiallahu anhum to Nakhla, which is situated between Taif and Makkah. The purpose of sending them was to get the information about actions of the non-believers of Makkah, because in those days there was severe danger from non-believers to attack on the city of Medina. The leader of these 8 Sahabas was Abdullah ibn Jahash radiallahu anh. He sallallahu alaihi wasallam gave him a letter and said not to read the letter until you read Nakhla, and after reading the letter, don't force anyone to go along with you. So it was done like this. The letter was read in Nakhla. 1 camel got lost and 2 Sahabas went in search of it, and the remaining moved forward. Very soon they met the enemy's military force. It was a small army. The Sahabas attacked the military force. Although they were not ordered to attack, they were only supposed to keep check on their actions. In reality, the Sahabas thought the sacred month was going to start. Then if they will attack us, then how will we retaliate in the sacred month? In this attack, 1 non-believer, Ibn Husayri, was killed. Sahaba Kiram did not even know. They were thinking that this was the last day of Jamad as-Sani. Instead, it was the first of Rajab. Due to not sighting the moon, they did not know. As you know, that Rajab is among the 4 sacred months. What are the 4 sacred months? Rajab, Ziqada, Zilhajjah and Muharram. And in these 4 months, fighting and killing was prohibited. The Sahabas radiallahu anhum took the remaining people and collected all the things and brought them to Medina and reached to Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He sallallahu alaihi wasallam felt bad because all this happened on 1st of Rajab. Now the non-believers of Makkah, the Jews and all the enemies of Islam created a storm against Islam, that Muslims show themselves to be devout. What type of Muslims are they? In the sacred month, they have killed. That means even in the sacred month, the Muslims do not miss a chance of bloodshed. They don't follow, just talk in the air. He sallallahu alaihi wasallam did not took the wealth nor the prisoners and said, when did I say to fight in the sacred month? Sahaba Kiram were very ashamed. Even the Muslims rebuked them. Now they were sure of their wrongdoing. In this tough time, this ayah was revealed. Allah does not leave anyone in hard times. This did not only for them, this happens with us also. We should believe in Allah. This way the Sahaba Kiram radiallahu anhum got relief from the guilt. So after this ayah, Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam took the prisoner in his custody, and after receiving the fidya from Quraysh Makkah, these 2 prisoners were released. Out of these 2 prisoners, 1 went to Makkah and died in disbelief. The second one, Hakam bin Hassan radiallahu anhu, became Muslim and then was martyred in the battle of Bir Mamun. Now let us see when the Muslims questioned Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam that is killing allowed in the sacred month, then what was his reply? What reply did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, Qul, O Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, tell them, Qul qitalun fihi kabir. You say to fight in this month is a sin. And what else is sin? Wasaddun an sabilillah, and stopping the people from the way of Allah. وَكُفْرٌ بِهِ, and disbelief in him, وَالْمَسْجِدَ الْحَرَامِ, and preventing access to Masjid al-Haram and not letting the people do Umrah and Tawaf, وَإِخْرَاجُ أَهْلِهِ مِنْهِ, and expulsion of its people, force them to do Hijrah, أَكْبَرُ عِنْدَ اللَّهِ, أكبر is even bigger sin in the sight of Allah. وَالْفِتْنَةُ أَكْبَرُ مِنَ الْقَتْلِ, and fitna is greater sin than killing. Here this thing has been explained, that definitely fighting in the sacred month is a big sin, but who makes noises can't see their act. Their act is a bigger sin than fighting and killing, because they stopped the Muslims from the way of Allah, means putting obstacle in the way of Islam, and stopped the Muslims from entering in Masjid al-Haram, and they forced the Muslims to leave their homes and do Hijrah. Disbelief and shirk, doing fitna and fasad, means not letting the people to follow the commands of Allah, is even a bigger sin than killing. so cruel, who were so unjust. It is being said, if the Muslims did this type of attitude with them, and that too by mistake, means that if by mistake a murder took place in the sacred month, so what? Were you innocent? Because of your oppression, all this took place. So it has been said, instead of making noises, see your handiwork. Don't make noises, see your actions, see your attitudes. In this ayah, fitna means every obstacle which the unbeliever laid in the way of Muslims. That means to stop from the way of Islam. يُقَاتِلُوكُمْ حَتَّى يَرُدُّوكُمْ عَنْ دِينِكُمْ إِنِ اسْتَطَاعُوا. And the unbeliever will always keep fighting with you till dates. All this is happening. It has been said, these non-believers will always keep fighting with you, even if to the extent of their ability. They will divert you from your religion and make you a disbeliever. This is their attitude, and this will always remain. Here it has been said, in the eyes of unbelievers, your actual crime is not that by mistake you fought in the sacred month and the killing happened. That means they are sad that you are Muslim, and why up till now you are steadfast on Islam. This was their worry. That is why in the ayah it has been said that non-believers will always try with their body, mind and wealth to keep you away from religion, and put all effort to make you give up their religion and return to their religion. This is their main purpose. Therefore, it is being said to the followers that be alert. They are your worst enemies. They will never stay away from making you murtad, that is renegade. When on the earth one is stopped from the commands of Allah, then qital, struggle, should be done, so that the system of Allah is established and the people can get justice and the system of Muslims is saved. If in case qital is not done, then it is possible that the opponents of Allah's deen will overcome and the faith of Muslims will be in danger. Then it is, وَمَنْ يَرْتَدِدْ مِنْكُمْ عَنْ دِينِهِ فَيَمُتْ وَهُوَ كَافِرٌ فَأُولَٰئِكَ حَبِطَتْ أَعْمَالُهُمْ فِي الدُّنْيَا وَالْآخِرَةِ وَأُولَٰئِكَ أَصْحَابُ النَّارِ هُمْ فِيهَا خَالِدُونَ. And whoever of you revert from your religion to disbelief and dies while he is a disbeliever, then all of their deeds will become worthless in this world and in the hereafter, and they will be the companions of the fire, and they abide therein eternally. Here, the result of people has been told who believe in Iman and then revert. Here it has been said that the way after bringing Iman, all the previous sins are forgiven, deleted. Same way, by reverting from Iman, all the goodness is also worthless. If one reverts and does not ask forgiveness, that means that he does not come to Iman, then his punishment of the world is he should be murdered. In Sahih Bukhari, man baddala deenuhu fakhtuluh. Whoever reverts from his religion, he should be killed. When all the goodness of a murtad are worthless, then only the sins are left. Then he has to undergo punishment for his crime, and he will always stay in fire. Now let us see the losses of murtad. Apart from their prayers and good deeds being worthless, what are the other losses? His nikah is annulled. If a Muslim person dies leaving inheritance, then the murtad will not get the share. Then his funeral prayer is also not offered and will also not be buried in the Muslim graveyard. And in the hereafter, his deeds being worthless means that he does not get the rewards for his good deeds, and he will be thrown in fire forever after. In the same way, an original disbeliever who was not a murtad but was always a disbeliever does a good deed, then his reward is stopped in the air. Yes, if any time he comes to Islam, then his deed which was stopped will get the reward for that. But when he dies on disbelief, then all his good deeds become worthless. In Sahih Muslim, whatever good deeds you did in the time of ignorance are there in the fold of Islam. That means when Iman was not there, and whatever good deeds you did, you will get the reward if you bring Islam. Now the people who were engaged in jihad, Mujahideen in Naqla, were worried whether they will get the reward for the jihad or not, because they did two mistakes. One, that they did the jihad without the permission of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Second, that unknowingly on the 1st of Rajab, they attacked and a killing happened. Tafseer of verse number 218. Now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is effectively responding to them in the following ayah. Ayah 218. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Innal ladhina amanu wal ladhina hajaru wa jahadu fi sabilillahi ulaika yarjuna rahmatallah. Ulaika yarjuna rahmatallahi wallahu ghafurur rahim. Translation: Surely those who are believers and migrated and struggled in the path of Allah, they can hope for the mercy of Allah, and Allah is forgiving, merciful. Tafseer: Muslims were concerned about whether they would receive the reward of jihad or not. They were also worried whether they would be held accountable, whether they had committed a sin, and whether Allah was angry with them. So Allah responded to them that those who believed and migrated and strove and struggled in Allah's way, these are the ones who can expect Allah's mercy, and Allah is forgiving and merciful. It is stated here that only those who believed, migrated, and performed jihad in the way of Allah are entitled to Allah's mercy, and human flaws will exist because humans are not angels and Allah is merciful. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sees intentions, sincerity, and sacrifice. He bestows bounty and accepts repentance. Also, we were told here that those who migrate and do jihad after believing can expect the mercy of Allah, whereas everyone cannot. People generally desire Jannah despite not having believed. It's been said that you shouldn't just wish for something, you should also work for it. What was the claim of Bani Israel? As we previously learned, they claimed to be the chosen ones, so only they will go to Jannah and the fire will not touch them. And even if they did go to hell, it would only be for a few days, only as many days as they had worshipped the calf. The mushriks of Makkah too believed that they were protecting the Kaaba, so they were devout. They had no belief in the afterlife, nor did they believe they would be raised after death. Likewise, we Muslims assert, yes, we claim that we don't need to do anything because Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam will excuse us as we are his ummah and he will take us to Jannah. In this world, we obtain each and every degree, each and every success after striving and struggling for them. We invest our time, efforts, energy, skills, and money, and only then do we reap the benefits. Will we then get Jannah for free? Will we not have to work for it? Yes, we must strive for Jannah as well, investing our time and money, utilizing our skills and capabilities, and making sacrifices. We won't get it for free. We will have to go through trials and tests, pay the price, and prove that we are worthy of it. It is stated here that we cannot enter Jannah without making any effort. What should someone do if he wishes to seek Allah's mercy and enter Jannah? Yes, first and foremost, he must believe, make sacrifices, migrate in the way of Allah, and possibly sacrifice his life. As a result, he should be prepared to strive and struggle. There's hadith in Musnad and Tirmizi. Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "And I command you with 5 that Allah commanded me: listening and obeying, Jama, Hijrah, and Jihad." Hijrat means to leave something, which means to abandon disobedience to Allah, to relocate to another country, to protect Iman, or to change oneself in accordance with Islamic requirements, that is, to change oneself. This is the beginning of Hijrah, in which we cleanse our hearts of grudge, hostility, hatred, jealousy, lies, ill feelings, and spying, and replace them with good virtues such as truthfulness and honesty. This too is Hijrat. In fact, it is the beginning of Hijrah. Yes, leaving one's hearth and home is the pinnacle of Hijrah. Jihad means to strive and struggle. What is the purpose of this? So that we can serve Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And what's the ultimate jihad? That is to fight in the battlefield to uphold Allah's religion, even if it's risking one's own life. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us the ability to do so when if required, so that we may become aspirants of Allah's mercy. Ameen ya Rabbal Alameen. Tafseer of verse number 219. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. يسألونك عن الخمر والميسر قل فيهما إثم كبير ومنافع للناس وإثمهما أكبر من نفعهما ويسألونك ماذا ينفقون قل العفو كذلك يبين الله لكم الآيات لعلكم تتفكرون. Translation: They ask you about drinking and gambling. Tell them, there is great sin in both, although they may have some benefit for men, but the sin is greater than the benefit. They ask you what they should spend. Tell them, whatever you can. Thus Allah makes his revelations clear to you so that you may reflect upon. Tafseer. Similarly, Allah clarifies His signs for you so that you may ponder, think. This ayah was revealed when alcohol was not considered haram, sinful. Even though these two things were common at the time, some Muslims saw the negative effects and chose to avoid them. Some had never touched wine, such as Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, who had an innate distaste for alcohol and gambling. Following the revelation of this ayah, Umar radiallahu anh prayed, "O Allah, give us a clear ruling on al-khamr, since in this preliminary verse, drinking alcohol had not yet been prohibited, but its consequences had been highlighted." Then the following ayah was revealed in Surah An-Nisa. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu la taqrabu as-salata wa antum sukara. O you who believe, do not approach a salah, the prayer, while intoxicated. Thereafter, it became the policy to declare before each salah prayer that intoxicated persons cannot attend salah, because when intoxicated, some people wouldn't realize what they are saying and would also utter shirk. This revelation made it clear that attending salah while intoxicated was prohibited. Umar radiallahu anh once more made a dua after the revelation of this ayah as well, asking, "O Allah, give us a decision on al-khamr that is more precise." The final commandment found in ayah 90 in Surah Al-Ma'idah was then revealed. The verse is as follows: Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu innamal khamru wal maisiru wal ansabu wal azlamu rijsum min amali shaytan fajtanibuhu la'allakum tuflihun. O you who believed, wine, gambling, altars, and drawing lots with arrows are impurities from Shaitan's handiwork. Avoid them so that you may succeed. Drinking, gambling, polytheism, and all filthy works are strictly forbidden according to this ayah. It is stated in Musnad Ahmad that when Umar radiallahu anh was informed about this revelation, he said, we did abstain. After learning about all of these injunctions, let's begin with ayah number 219. The first part of the ayah is, يَسْأَلُونَكَ عَنِ الْخَمْرِ وَالْمَيْسِرِ. Companions of Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam would ask him regarding the matters of religion. Khamr, alcohol, and wine spoil a man's reasoning. The commandments regarding drinking were revealed in stages, just as you can notice here. In the first revelation, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is giving the Sahabas a reply to their questions. قُلْ فِيهِمَا إِثْمٌ كَبِيرٌ وَمَنَافِعُ لِلنَّاسِ. O Prophet, tell them that in both of them there is a great sin, and there are some benefits too in them for people. وَإِثْمُهُمَا أَكْبَرُ مِنْ نَفْعِهِمَا. And their sin outweighs their benefits. While drinking and gambling are not expressly forbidden here, their negative effects have been stated. Why? In order for us to reflect, because when someone makes a choice after giving it serious consideration, they are firmly convinced of it. And who is the command from? From Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then implementing such an order becomes easier. Some companions of Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam never even touched intoxicants, even back when it was a usual norm. And following the revelation of this ayah, several companions quit drinking after the revelation of this ayah, even though a clear directive had not yet been disclosed, because it was revealed that فيهما إثم كبير ومنافع للناس وإثمهما أكبر من نفعهما. Although drinking and gambling have benefits for people, the sin associated with them is much higher than those advantages. Given that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was speaking, the companions found this to be sufficient, whose utterances are more accurate than those of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What does he say? That they are beneficial and that sin is more serious? The phrase, there is immense sin in them, refers to the fact that man commits sins as a result of them. They both become excuses for transgressions. Come, let's use examples to better comprehend this. Take drinking, for instance. The first flaw is that it causes a person to lose their senses, and sense is what allows a person to know what is right and wrong. What will happen then if someone loses their senses? He then engages in sinful behavior, because sense is what prevents wrongdoing. You must have observed what an inebriated person does. He yells and screams, fights, argues, and uses foul language. There are instances where drunken people have killed or committed murder and then regretted it later on, regaining consciousness. An inebriated person may occasionally kill a loved one, agonize for a while, and then events executed by the government. Secret information is revealed in conversation by an inebriated individual. What would happen if a government official was offered alcohol, then secret information was extracted for him and made public? He exposes the entire nation to danger and threat. An inebriated person turns into a puppet in other people's hand. Anyone can provoke him, enrage him, and incite him to use derogatory language and conduct. In the modern world, it is even possible that his words and deeds will be recorded and used against him. What do the words and deeds of a drunken person become? They become unfair and weird. Am I right? A drunkard commits the worst of sins under the influence of intoxicants. He is unable to pray or perform any other good work. Before the advent of Islam, a drunken man once murdered his dog instead of his goat and served it to his guests, only to be shocked the next morning to find the goat still alive and the dog gone. Similarly, one person once smashed the head of another. When the matter reached Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, it stated in Sahih Sahih Muslim 218, Swad 2 Jim. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam prayed to Allah, Allahumma bayyin lana fil khamri bayanan shafiyal. O Allah, grant us clear commentary and ruling in the matter of wine. Upon this, an ayah was revealed in Surah Al-Ma'idah, and drinking became haram. A person's body, spirit, and relationships are all destroyed by intoxicants. A German doctor has said that if half the bars were closed down, then I guarantee that half the hospitals and half of prisons will be closed down. A person who is intoxicated becomes despicable and loathsome. Alcohol destroys the appearance, stomach, and intellect, decreases appetite, ages a person too quickly, and ruins the face. White patches on the skin, kidney and liver damage, and blood pollution are all results of it. At times, it also gives rise to wrath. Intoxicants provide users a heightened feeling of power and can sometimes result in fatalities. It causes throat hoarseness, frequent coughing, and respiratory issues. One advantage of intoxicants is that they make a person feel happy, stimulated, and energetic for a short period of time. But when the influence wears off, he returns to reality and has unpleasant side effects like headaches and vomiting. The polytheists in Mecca would say that since in the state of intoxication they were doing a lot of charitable works, so drinking was good. This is comparable to supposing that people organize a singing and dancing party and contribute the proceeds in order to treat coronavirus, thinking they have done a fantastic good deed. Similar to the selling of alcohol, people profit from it, yet those gains are haram and even deprive them of blessings. Come on, now let's discuss gambling as well. Al-Maisir, that is Masdar verbal noun, its linguistic meaning is to distribute. Yasir means the one who distributes. People participated in a range of gambling activities during the days of ignorance. One approach involved sacrificing a camel and then distributing its meal through a game of chance. In the event, some would get more than one share and some would get nothing. The cost of the sacrificed camel would need to be paid in full by the person who did not receive any share at all. Additionally, the meat couldn't be consumed by the winners themselves. Instead, it would be given to the poor in its entirety. As a result, they would consider gambling to be excellent because they thought that through it they did charity. They would therefore take great pride in their generosity when gaming. Maisir is the player in this game of chance. The punishment of the sin of gambling is on the players both in this world as well as the hereafter. The wealth that a person earns through gambling is nevertheless little only, and the losses are immense. So what are the losses? Yes, it breeds animosity, anger, and discontentment in people's hearts. People who gain prosperity for free tend to be more unproductive. Wealth accumulates in one place instead of circulating in the society. The sole desire of a gamer remains only this, that he wins another's wealth effortlessly. And gambling prevents a person from salah, prayers, and zikr, remembrance of Allah. Gambling includes playing chess, cards, and any other game in which there is a financial stake. Gambling and drinking were both illegal in the initial days of Islam. The polytheists of Makkah disputed the ayah غُلِبَتِ Rome that stated that Rome will triumph after a few years when it was revealed in Surah Al-Rum. Abu Bakr radiallahu anh betted on it. After winning the bet, Abu Bakr radiallahu anh took the wealth to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam ordered him to distribute it among the needy. Note that Allah had protected his messenger from that which was yet to be declared haram. He sallallahu alaihi wasallam had donated the entire sum of money earned in the bet won by Abu Bakr radiallahu anh. Then it's being told, وَيَسْأَلُونَكَ مَاذَا يُنْفِقُونَ. The inquiries of the Prophet's companions reveal their love and intense desire to perform good deeds. Only those who are constantly concerned about their hereafter, who are afraid of the punishment of graves, can consider doing good deeds out of concern for the eternal afterlife. So yes, it is a wonderful, lovely question. We had previously studied the possible uses and beneficiaries of money. The question that has now been raised is how much money should we spend? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala responded, قُلِ الْعَفْوَ. Allah commands you, O Messenger, to instruct them to spend whatever remains after they have met their needs. In other words, this implies spending the surplus left over after meeting one's basic needs. This is the most that can be donated voluntarily, while zakah is the least required compulsory donation. For example, if someone pays zakah, he is not obligated to make an additional donations, and failing to do so is legal. However, in a nation like ours, where there are many impoverished and destitute people, it is still advisable to contribute to the needy from one's surplus money because taqwa requires it. During the early stages of Islam, surplus items were required to be donated rather than accumulating for future use. The second opinion on Qulil Afwa is that giving to charity after paying zakah exemplifies a higher moral character. This has one more meaning. ما سهول وتيسر ولم يشك على القلب. Spend in the way of Allah what is easy and comfortable for you to give, what you can give willingly without straining your heart or making you feel burdened. This demonstrates that while charity is encouraged in Islam, it prefers to be moderate. When they were ordained, the companions radiallahu anhum donated the surplus. They would only keep enough food for the day and distribute the rest. In fact, they rarely kept anything for themselves on the day of their donation. Once Aisha radiallahu anha received some gift, she gave it all to charity because there was nothing left for them. Her maid inquired as to how they would break the fast. We would have saved something if you had reminded me earlier, Aisha radiallahu anha replied. This teaches us that they were so focused on meeting the needs of others that they forgot about their own. And it's quite terrible that modern Muslims don't even contribute the bare minimum, 2.5%. We must give a little bit of everything we have. We should give what is best in Allah's way. Don't give everything and then sit down to beg others, advised Hazrat Hasan Basri radiallahu anh. It's stated in Sahih Muslim that one person said to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, O Messenger of Allah, I have 1 dinar, a currency. The Prophet said, spend it you on yourself. He said, I have another dinar. He said, spend it on your wife. He said, I have another dinar. He said, spend it on your offspring. He said, I have another dinar. He said, you have better knowledge, meaning how and where to spend it in charity, because it had already been made clear that one should spend what's in excess. And how do we budget our spending? It will be determined by our level of iman, taqwa, heartfeltness and closeness to Allah. How much do you love Allah, and how much do you love wealth, and how much do you enjoy flaunting and displaying your wealth? No two loves can coexist. One will overpower the other, and a person will only listen to the overpowering love. As one's love for Allah grows, his or her desire for material possessions, comforts, luxuries, and display of riches declines, until at last one's passion for wealth is limited to meeting basic needs. Taqwa is the internal state of a person's heart. Taqwa sensitizes and softens him when it enters his heart. He then empathizes with others' pains and needs and feels happy after bringing joy into the lives of those who are grieving. As a result, he devotes his time to assisting others. In the process of meeting the needs of others, such a muttaqi tends to forget his or her own. He eventually continues to reduce his own requirements. Another instance of spending in the way of Allah comes from the Tabuk war, when Umar radiallahu anh was wealthier than Abu Bakr radiallahu anh. Umar radiallahu anh made his donation at the time, believing that he had outdone Abu Bakr radiallahu anh in charitable giving. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam asked him what he had brought. Umar said, half of the entire wealth that I had. After Abu Bakr arrived with a small contribution, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam asked him the same question, to which he replied that he had brought everything and had left the name of Allah and His Messenger in the house. We also learn here that Allah is aware of any sacrifices we make in His name, so no matter how small. This also refers to the hadith we discussed earlier, in which only half a date was given in charity. Allah takes such charity into His hands and grows it to the size of Uhud mountain. كَذَلِكَ يُبَيِّنُ اللَّهُ لَكُمُ الْآيَاتِ لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَفَكَّرُونَ. Then it said, thus Allah explicitly explains His commands to you in order for you to ponder, think and comprehend. This ayah teaches us a life principle. There are certain things that benefit us in the short term, that is this life, but their loss can be permanent, that is the hereafter. So what should we do? Leave such fleeting worldly gains for the gains of the hereafter, which are eternal. The most crucial rule is that we should never rebel against our Creator, Owner, Cherisher, Nourisher and Provider. We will ruin both this life and the next if we continue to disobey Him after knowing. Making something halal into haram or haram into halal is destructive to one's health, life and afterlife. And rather than focusing on this fleeting earthly life, we should base our decisions on the advantages of the hereafter. What follows after we perform sadaqah? The balance of our wealth is secured and sanctified. Our hearts are at peace and content. We get Allah's blessings, and our donation will be a source of immense reward in the hereafter. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us the ability to carry out each and every one of His commands. Ameen ya Rabbal Alameen. Tafseer of verse number 220. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. في الدنيا والآخرة ويسألونك عن اليتامى قل إصلاح لهم خير وإن تخالطوهم فإخوانكم والله يعلم المفسد من المصلح ولو شاء الله لعنتكم إن الله عزيز حكيم. Translation: This world and the hereafter. They ask you about orphans. Tell them it is best to deal with them justly. You may become co-partners with them. After all, they are your brethren. Allah knows who means harm and also who means their welfare. If Allah had wanted, He could be hard on you in this matter. Surely Allah is mighty, wise. Tafseer: This world and the hereafter. Here another beautiful question by the companions Raziallahu anhu of Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is addressed. Who can ask such a question? Only those who want to beautify their actions. Those who want to attain the acceptance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who want to do the best deeds at the level of excellence, who love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and want to please Him, those who are afraid of making a mistake even unintentionally. The verse starts with "Fi dunya wal akhirah," the matters of this world and the hereafter. The previous verse stated that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes His revelations clear to you so that you may reflect upon and ponder. The same topic is continued in this verse, that you should solve the matters of this world and akhirah thoughtfully and do not indulge in things that will lead to the destruction of your hereafter. For the sake of this world, prepare for the hereafter while living in this world, because one has to live in the world after all. Neither leave the worldly life for akhirah, that is, keep the balance so both are beautified. However, focus on the hereafter shouldn't be let go. And every action should be taken while keeping both this world and the hereafter in sight. It is further said, وَيَسْأَلُونَكَ عَنِ الْيَتَامَى. They ask you about the orphans. A yatim, orphan, is a minor whose father has died. The Arab people did not give rights to the orphans. Therefore, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in verse 152 of Surah Al-An'am, وَلَا تَقْرَبُوا مَالَ الْيَتِيمِ إِلَّا بِالَّتِي هِيَ أَحْسَنُ. And do not approach the property of the orphan except in the best manner until he attains his maturity. Similarly, in verse 10 of Surah An-Nisa, إِنَّ الَّذِينَ يَأْكُلُونَ أَمْوَالَ الْيَتَامَى ظُلْمًا إِنَّمَا يَأْكُلُونَ فِي بُطُونِهِمْ نَارًا وَسَيَصْلَوْنَ سَعِيرًا. As for those who unjustly eat up the property of the orphans, surely they only swallow fire into their bellies, and they shall enter burning fire. The companions radiallahu anhum were very fearful when these verses were revealed. They became so cautious in dealing with the orphans in their care that they started preparing their meals separately and would not even eat their leftovers out of abundance of caution. And they wouldn't even give the leftovers in charity, either because they feared the punishment of hereafter. The food would spoil this way, but this wastage of food on orphans' property also made them sad. So the guardians of orphans became quite anxious. Making separate arrangements was also very difficult. Due to these difficulties they faced, they asked the Prophet ﷺ about dealings with orphans. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala answered this question. قُلْ إِصْلَاحُ لَهُمْ خَيْرٌ. O Prophet, tell them, it is best to deal with them justly. That is, deal with them in the way that is better for them. Your goal should be to protect the rights and property of the orphans, so do what you feel is better for them. وَإِن تُخَالِطُوهُمْ فَإِخْوَانُكُمْ. And if you mix your affairs with theirs, then they are your brothers. That is, you can cook together and mix their wealth with yours if you deem it reasonable for their welfare. Then there is nothing wrong with that. Keep protecting and doing well with them. After all, they are your brothers. You can take care of their affairs separately or by mixing it with yours, as long as your intentions are honest and you wish well for them. Do not put yourselves in unnecessary difficulties. Wallahu ya'lamul mufsida minal muslih. Allah knows who means harm and also who means their welfare. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows that you intend well for them, and Allah is also aware of your intentions if they are otherwise. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is well aware of those who mean mischief and those who mean good. وَلَوْ شَاءَ اللَّهُ لَعَانَتَكُمْ إِنَّ اللَّهَ عَزِيزٌ حَكِيمٌ. And if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had wished, He could have put you into difficulties. How? By not allowing to spend the orphan's wealth with yours, or by severely impeaching and holding you accountable. If He had imposed strict conditions, you would have been in trouble. But this is the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He did not do so. Truly, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is almighty and all-wise. Inna Allah azizun hakim. Allah has all authority and He is wise. There is wisdom behind His every command and welfare for mankind. Recap. Now let us see what all we have learned from today's verses for our actions. Verse number 215. We have to spend our wealth as much as we can to attain the pleasure of Allah. Do infaq bil mal. We have to spend our wealth first on parents, close relatives, orphans, poor people and travelers. Verse 216. We should accept every decision of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and be satisfied in the pleasure of Allah. Even if we dislike a trial outwardly, we have to endure it because there will be some wisdom in that too. There will be some expediency or goodness from Allah hidden in it. Always have good hope from Allah. Verse 217. We have to avoid all kinds of mischief and persecution because it is a greater sin than murder. Verse number 218. We have to learn the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala after affirming our faith. We have to learn the Quran and Sunnah and act accordingly. We have to be ready and not shy away or be afraid of making any kind of sacrifice such as hijrah, emigration and jihad, utmost effort for the dominance of our deen, and then hope for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's mercy after making the sacrifice. We cannot hope and desire the Jannah without believing and making sacrifices in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Verse number 219, we have to avoid all types of haram, forbidden things and actions. Even if the haram thing benefits us momentarily, we have to avoid all types of extravagance and wastefulness. We should spend on others whatever we have more than our needs, be it wealth or time and abilities. Verse number 220, we should protect the rights of orphans. Our intention should always be for their welfare, betterment and reformation. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help us in doing this to the best of our abilities. Homework, please note down today's homework. Question number 1, write down the translation, root words in singular plural from today's verses. Question number 2, make negatives of the following words and phrases. Ta'alamuna, as'alukum malan, يسألون الناس إلحافا أسألكم عليه أجرا أسألكم عليه مالا تتبع خطوات الشيطان. Now question number 3, what and where should we spend in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, from verse number 215. Question number 4, وَعَسَىٰ أَن تَكْرَهُوا شَيْئًا وَهُوَ خَيْرٌ لَكُمْ. What have you learned for your actions from this verse? Verse 216. Question number 5, who are the people that hope for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's mercy? What have you learned for your actions? From verse 218. Question number 6, what is meant by al-khamr wal-maisir? List the disadvantages of both of them, from verse 219. Take care of yourselves. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika. Nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta. Nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.